Chapter 1. Strange Signals. The year was 2029, and America had just witnessed the unlikeliest of comebacks. Donald J. Trump, a figure who had dominated the headlines a decade ago, was back in the Oval Office. No one had seen it coming. Not the political analysts, not the pundits, not even Trump himself. But after years of chaos, division, and global unrest, he had somehow managed to win back the presidency. It was a shocking twist of fate that left the world gasping in disbelief. But for all the noise in Washington, something far more mysterious was unfolding, unnoticed by the masses. Far above Earth, beyond the reaches of human observation, an alien craft, massive and sleek, shaped like nothing ever seen, drifted through the fabric of space. Its occupants, beings of profound intelligence, had been monitoring humanity for centuries. They had observed the rise and fall of nations, the evolution of technology, and the peculiar way humans clung to power. But none of their data could have prepared them for this. "Commander, we have received an anomaly in the Earth's communication networks. The signal, it's growing stronger," said a deep voice, reverberating in the quiet control room of the ship. The ship's commander, a being named Zorith, rose from his chair, his elongated form shadowing the console. His species had never fully understood the intricacies of human leadership, but there was one thing they knew for certain. Power on Earth was volatile. They had seen the great leaders, Gandhi, Lincoln, Mandela, who had shaped history with grace. But they had also seen the erratic, unpredictable nature of power when in the hands of those less capable. Still, nothing had prepared Zorith for this. "Show me the signal," he ordered. A glowing hologram flickered to life in front of him. At first, it appeared to be random noise, a chaotic jumble of human data. But as the signal filtered through, a pattern emerged. A voice. One that sent waves of shock throughout the entire alien crew. "I am your president, Donald Trump." The voice echoed through the vast expanse of their ship, like a strange vibration in the air. Zorith's antennae twitched. The crew of aliens around him stared in stunned silence, their minds racing to comprehend what they had just heard. "Is this some sort of human joke? A hoax?" asked Kor, the navigator. He wasn't used to the idea that humans could be led by someone so unpredictable. "I don't know, but we need to investigate," Zorith replied, his voice grave. "This, President Trump, he is somehow central to Earth's future. We must make contact." Back on Earth, the world seemed to be unraveling in the wake of Trump's return. Protests, celebrations, and chaos had consumed the streets. Half the country was in disbelief, unsure of how to react to the man who had left the White House in disgrace and somehow returned stronger than ever. In the quiet corners of Washington, D.C., a top-secret government meeting was underway. Inside a windowless room, agents from the National Intelligence Agency were hunched over their screens, watching incoming reports from space. The signals were coming in hot and fast, their source undeniably extraterrestrial. "Are they watching us?" asked Agent Marie Walker, a seasoned officer with a skeptical mind. "And why now? Why after all these years?" The director, a man with years of classified clearance and too many secrets buried in his past, stood at the head of the table, looking at the screen with the same sense of dread. "Because, Agent Walker," he began, his voice low, "the aliens are shocked. They're confused by what they're seeing. They don't understand how someone like Donald Trump could rise to power again. And it's making them question everything they thought they knew about humanity." Meanwhile, President Trump, still basking in the aftermath of his improbable victory, stood on the White House lawn, giving one of his trademark speeches to a roaring crowd. "We've had great leaders, folks. But I'm telling you right now, this is the best America has ever had. We're going to make history again. We're going to show the aliens how to win. Believe me, The crowd erupted in applause, unaware that their every word was being monitored by a race of extraterrestrials, beings whose comprehension of politics and power was far beyond anything Earth could imagine. But Zorth's crew wasn't the only one listening. Back on Earth, secret military forces were already preparing for the worst. They knew that when an alien race begins watching a president like Trump, nothing was certain. And then it happened. The sky lit up. A streak of bright white crossed the heavens, the world's first contact with another civilization. A fleet of alien ships, large and ominous, descended from the heavens, casting a shadow over the earth. For a moment, the world held its breath. Was this the beginning of humanity's reckoning, or was it just the start of an even stranger chapter? The truth was out there, and it was about to be revealed in ways no one could have ever imagined. Chapter 2: A New Reality. The world froze in that moment. The moment the skies split open and the first alien ships descended upon Earth. From Washington, D.C., to New York, to every corner of the globe, people looked up in awe, fear, and confusion. News outlets scrambled to cover the unprecedented event. Social media was flooded with videos, theories, and a multitude of hashtags. Hashtag alien invasion. Hashtag Trump versus aliens. Hashtag first contact. But for President Trump, standing at the podium on the White House lawn, the scene was nothing short of an opportunity. He squinted up at the shining, otherworldly craft hovering above, his lips curling into that familiar, trademark smile. Folks, we've been talking about this for years. The aliens are here. And let me tell you, nobody knows aliens better than me. Believe me, around him, his supporters cheered wildly, convinced that this was somehow part of the plan. But the rest of the world, they weren't so sure. In a quiet, highly classified command center deep within a mountain in Nevada, military personnel were scrambling. The White House had called an emergency meeting with the highest levels of the government, but the generals and analysts knew this was no ordinary situation. This is not an attack. They're not here to destroy us, said General Lane, his voice thick with unease. His team of experts had been analyzing the alien ships for the last 20 minutes, but they had yet to determine what the true objective of these visitors was. Across the room, Agent Marie Walker, who had been monitoring the communications from the alien fleet, watched as more ships appeared on her radar. Their formations are too precise for a random attack. They're studying us, watching us. Her words hung in the air, heavy with implication. But why? General Lane turned to her. What do we know about their technology? What's the play here? Walker's fingers danced across the holographic display, highlighting a series of strange signals, ones that were unlike any human-made communication. The patterns were intricate, almost mathematical. And there was something else, a constant repetition of a name that had somehow found its way into the alien transmission. Trump. They're talking about Trump, over and over again. Back in the Oval Office, Trump sat behind his desk, a cigar dangling loosely from his fingers. He gazed at the ceiling, the weight of the situation finally settling in. Aliens, huh? You'd think they'd be a little more impressed, he muttered under his breath as he scrolled through tweets on his phone. Maybe they just need a good deal. I'll make them an offer they can't refuse. Suddenly, a sharp knock at the door interrupted his musings. It was his chief of staff, a man named Michael Wells, looking visibly shaken. Mr. President, you need to see this. Wells handed Trump a tablet. On the screen was a live video feed, showing the alien ships slowly descending over major cities. Trump raised an eyebrow, flicking his cigar in the direction of the screen. Well, they're here. I knew it. But why are they so fascinated by me? I mean, I'm not that special. Am I? Wells hesitated, then answered, It's not just you, Mr. President. They're speaking to you. Directly. In their transmissions, Trump's smile widened. Perfect. They know how to play the game. All right, let's show him how we do things in America. On the alien ship, Zorth was no closer to understanding the complexities of this world. He paced in front of the large viewing screen, analyzing the humans below with a mix of wonder and disbelief. The planet was chaotic, far more than he had anticipated. Yet, the human leadership, that was the most perplexing element. Commander, the humans they're all reacting to him, Core observed. To President Trump, it's like the entire planet is focused on him. Zorth turned his gaze toward the holographic display. He had read about Earth's leaders, humans who wielded power in strange and often destructive ways. But this Trump figure was different. There was an aura about him, a confidence that seemed to permeate through the very air. It was both terrifying and captivating. The alien fleet's databanks had no clear answer as to why Trump seemed to hold this much influence. This is unlike anything we've seen before, Zorth said, tapping the side of his temple as his mind raced. We need to communicate with him directly. I must know why he commands such power. Back on Earth, the clock was ticking. The aliens had descended, slowly, carefully, as though weighing every move. Tensions were rising, and the world watched, holding its collective breath. Every nation on Earth had mobilized its military forces, preparing for a scenario they hoped would never come. But for President Trump, this was just another deal in the making. The world's leaders are too scared to face the aliens. But me? I'll negotiate with them. I've built an empire. Why would this be any different? Trump muttered to himself, pacing in his private office. At that moment, the phone on his desk rang. It was an encrypted line, a direct communication from the alien fleet. Trump's eyes glinted. I knew it. They're calling. All right, let's see what they have to say. The phone crackled, and a voice, deep and resonant, came through. President Trump, we are the Zorth Collective. We seek understanding, and we have watched your world for many cycles. You of all humans intrigue us. We require your assistance. Trump leaned back in his chair, grinning. Assistance? Well, I don't just give assistance, you know. I make deals. You want something? I'll give it to you. But it's going to cost you. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Very well, President Trump. We are prepared to make an agreement. What do you seek? Trump's grin widened even further. First, let's talk about the future of your planet. America is going to show you how to make it great again. We're talking trade, technology, military. You want to make an intergalactic deal? Let's talk. The aliens were silent. Let's just say this, Trump continued, his voice taking on that signature tone. I don't make deals with losers. Across the globe, governments were on edge. Military leaders were gathering, preparing for a response, but none could anticipate the next move. The future of Earth had never been so uncertain. And the aliens? They had just found themselves face to face with the most unpredictable force the universe had ever encountered. Donald Trump. Chapter 3. The Art of the Deal. The world was in chaos. But for President Donald Trump, it was just another business negotiation. The aliens were no longer an enigma. They were potential partners, or more accurately, clients. And like any good businessman, Trump knew how to close a deal. In the Oval Office, Trump stood in front of a full-length mirror, adjusting his tie with a smirk. Behind him, a small group of advisors and military leaders gathered. They were anxiously awaiting his next move. Mr. President, we need a plan, General Lane said, his voice tight with urgency. The world is on edge, and the aliens are making it clear that they want something. But we don't know what. Trump turned to face them, his face unreadable. I don't need a plan. I've been making deals my whole life. This is just another one. I'll talk to them, see what they want, and then boom, make a deal so good they'll never want to leave. But Lane began, but Trump cut him off. Listen, General, I get it. You're nervous. Everyone is. But I'm telling you, I've got this. You want to know why? Because I know how to negotiate with the best. These aliens? They're no different than any other world leader. They just don't know it yet. Trump's voice rang with confidence, even if no one in the room was entirely convinced. Outside, the alien fleet hovered, a perfect display of technological might. Their ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Sleek, metallic, and covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly in the atmosphere. They had been circling for hours now, waiting for a response from the humans. But the response that had come, Trump's defiant, bold approach, was something they hadn't expected. On board the alien flagship, Zorith paced nervously. He had never encountered a being like Trump. The human was unique. There was something deeply unsettling yet magnetic about his arrogance, his refusal to be intimidated by the unknown. "We've established contact, Commander," Kor said, her voice filled with both curiosity and caution. "But his demands, they're extraordinary." Zorith stopped pacing and faced the screen that displayed a live transmission from Earth's White House. Trump's image filled the screen, a tall, imposing figure in a suit, a gold-plated desk before him, surrounded by advisors who looked more like nervous children than military professionals. The human offers a deal. He demands technology and resources in exchange for cooperation, Zorith mused. He calls it a great deal. He sounds confident, Kor observed, but he's asking for far more than we anticipated. We could provide the technology, but our resources are finite. The proposal could destabilize our collective. Zorith's eyes narrowed. He was no stranger to negotiation, but this human was pushing the limits of what was acceptable. However, there was something about Trump's presence that made him question everything. "I think," Zorith said, his tone measured, "we need to see if his arrogance is matched by his ability to deliver. We'll continue negotiations, but we'll play him at his own game." Back on Earth, Trump sat at the resolute desk, tapping a pen rhythmically as he waited for the alien response. His advisors fidgeted around him, unsure of how to proceed. Some were convinced Trump's bravado would save them, while others feared the worst: an alien takeover, a catastrophic war, or worse, complete annihilation. The phone on Trump's desk buzzed, and he picked it up with his usual flair. "Mr. President, we've received the alien response," the voice on the other end of the line said. Trump raised an eyebrow. "Well, don't keep me waiting. What did they say?" There was a pause. "They've agreed to meet with you, face to face. They're sending a representative." Trump grinned, the excitement building in his chest. "Now we're talking. This is my moment. They want to see what I can offer." "Huh? Well, I'm ready." The meeting was set for the following day at the White House. The world's eyes were glued to their screens as footage of alien ships landing on the White House lawn filled the airwaves. Military personnel were on high alert, but Trump had already dismissed most of their concerns. This was his domain, and he wasn't about to let a few alien ships throw him off track. As the alien representative arrived, a figure cloaked in shimmering light and metallic armor, Trump stood in the doorway to greet him. The alien was tall, much taller than a human, with elongated limbs and a face that seemed to ripple with energy, its features shifting as though it was made of liquid metal. Trump extended a hand. "I'm Donald Trump, President of the United States. But you probably already know that." The alien stared at the hand for a moment before extending its own. It was a strange gesture, one that defied any human understanding of politeness. But Trump, ever the salesman, took it in stride. "We've been observing you, President Trump." The alien spoke, its voice deep and resonant, like a choir of voices all speaking in unison. "Your species has much potential, but you are also unpredictable. You do not fit the patterns we've observed. Trump smirked, stepping back slightly. Unpredictable? That's the word they always use when they don't know how to deal with me. Let me tell you something, alien friend. I don't just play by the rules. I make the rules. And the deal I'm about to offer you is going to change the galaxy. The alien's eyes shimmered, as if processing Trump's words. Your deal? What do you propose, President Trump? Trump's grin grew wider. Simple. You give us access to your advanced technology. You share your knowledge. In exchange, I'll ensure that the United States provides you with resources you've never dreamed of. And let's not forget, I can make your species great again. You'll have power beyond your wildest dreams. The alien tilted its head, considering the offer. And in return, what do you want? Trump leaned in, his voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. I want the future, your technology, your resources, and I want the world's leaders to know that America, and specifically I, am the one who brokered the greatest deal in history. The alien seemed to pause, as though it were contemplating something monumental. Finally it spoke. Your terms are unconventional, but we will consider them. We will allow you to demonstrate your value. Trump beamed. That's what I like to hear. As the alien turned to leave, Trump called after it. Oh, and one more thing. I don't do business with anyone who doesn't respect me. You got to understand that. You want to deal with America? You deal with me, and you deal with respect. Understood? The alien nodded, an unsettling, mechanical gesture that felt more like a test than a promise. Understood, President Trump. Back in the command center, General Lane watched the exchange with mixed emotions. Mr. President, you've done it. They're backing down. Trump gave a satisfied nod. I told you, General. No one knows how to make a deal like I do. As the alien fleet slowly began to depart, the world held its breath. The deal had been struck, but at what cost? No one knew for sure. The future was as uncertain as ever. But one thing was clear. This was only the beginning. Chapter 4. The Art of Peace. The world watched, breath held, as the alien fleet slowly ascended from the White House lawn. The strange, shimmering ships retreated into the sky, their lights fading into the atmosphere like distant stars blinking out of existence. The tense silence that followed was unlike any moment the Earth had ever experienced. President Donald Trump stood at the podium, his hands still resting on the side of the resolute desk. The deal had been made, an agreement forged with a force far beyond anything humanity had ever known. He'd done it. He'd managed to secure the most unimaginable deal in history. And now, it was time to ensure the world understood his brilliance. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump said, his voice booming across the nation through every news channel and social media feed. Today, we made history. The United States of America is not just a superpower. No. We are the undisputed leaders of the galaxy now. And let me tell you, we're going to win even bigger than ever before. Believe me, the applause was deafening. People cheered in the streets, their worries temporarily swept aside by the sheer audacity of the moment. Trump had done the impossible. Whether they liked him or not, the world now had to reckon with the fact that the United States was at the center of an intergalactic alliance, led by a man they thought they'd already seen the last of. But far from Earth, aboard the alien ship, Zorth sat quietly in his command chamber, staring out at the stars. His mind was whirling. The deal had been struck, but the questions remained. Had they made a mistake? Could they trust a human with so much power? His second-in-command, Kor, approached him cautiously. Commander, we've analyzed the deal. The president's terms are unconventional, but his resources are vast. This could benefit us. Zorth glanced at her, his eyes tired. You don't understand, Kor. There is something about Trump, about this human species. They're not predictable in the way we thought. It's not just his ambition. It's the way he can make the impossible seem simple. I fear what this might mean for us. Core tilted her head. But is that not what we need? A partner who can navigate the chaos of their world. Zorth hesitated. Perhaps, but we cannot underestimate their potential. The balance of power is shifting, and I'm not sure humanity is ready for what they might become. Back on Earth, life had shifted dramatically. Over the course of the following months, the effects of Trump's deal with the aliens were starting to become apparent. Technology that had once seemed straight out of science fiction, energy sources that could power entire cities with a fraction of the resources, medical advancements that could cure diseases thought incurable, were now being integrated into everyday life. The world's economy was booming, but at what cost? Countries that had once been at odds with the U.S. were now seeking to align themselves with the new intergalactic superpower. Former enemies became allies, as every nation realized that it was either join Trump or be left behind in the dust of history. But there was a growing undercurrent of unease. People began to question the true nature of the deal. What had Trump agreed to in exchange for these extraordinary resources? And more importantly, what did the aliens want in return? It was in the quiet hours of the night in a small room at the United Nations where the answer came. The world's leaders had gathered once again, this time not to negotiate with Earth's human powers, but to speak with the representatives of the alien fleet. For the first time in history, the UN had been given direct access to Zorth and his people. The chamber was filled with tension. Even though the alien ships were no longer hovering over cities, the strange, unpredictable presence of their technology loomed large. But there was something new, something different about this meeting. The aliens no longer seemed so distant or cold. They were willing to listen. Zorth stood before the gathered leaders, his towering figure silhouetted against the holographic map of Earth. His eyes glimmered with a quiet intensity. Humanity has changed, Zorth began, his voice booming but measured. We came to your world seeking power, seeking resources. But what we found in you was not just a species eager for advancement. We found a species capable of change, capable of growth. And we realize now, perhaps too late, that our presence here could either help you ascend to new heights or pull you down into chaos. There was a silence as the weight of his words sank in. For too long, we believed that we could control the flow of history, that we could shape your future. But we see now that your world, your species, they are far more unpredictable, far more capable than we ever imagined. Trump, who had been watching the proceedings from a distance, stepped forward, his hands clasped behind his back. So, you're admitting it. Humanity's got what it takes. We're not just another speck of dust in the universe. We're force, and we're going to make this galaxy great, whether you're on board or not. Zorth looked at him, the faintest trace of a smile passing through his usually stern face. Perhaps, but we must also recognize the responsibility that comes with such power. You have the tools to change the universe, President Trump, but you must wield them wisely. Trump's gaze softened for a moment. The weight of those words, spoken not by a human, but by an ancient being, struck him in a way he hadn't expected. We will, Trump said, his voice quieter now. I'll make sure of it. You've shown us the way. Now, we'll show you what Earth can really do. As the meeting ended and the alien fleet departed, the world breathed a collective sigh of relief. The fear of the unknown was still there, but there was also a glimmer of hope. For the first time, humans and aliens were moving forward together, not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners. The future was no longer a frightening question mark. It was a canvas, waiting for humanity to paint its destiny. In the years that followed, Earth began to thrive like never before. The once chaotic global stage became more stable as nations worked together with the aliens to build a future that was not just about survival, but about progress. And as humanity expanded beyond the boundaries of their own planet, they took their first steps into the stars, ready to write the next chapter of their history, a history that would no longer be confined to Earth alone. As for President Trump, he remained at the helm, steering this new, united world toward a future that was once unimaginable. He had kept his word. He had made the deal of a lifetime, and humanity had emerged victorious. And somewhere, out in the vast reaches of space, Zorith watched. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, he was willing to admit that perhaps, just maybe, humanity was the answer to the galaxy's most pressing question.